Welcome to the Back Nine Six Pack with Mitch and Justin. Let's roll.
Hello and welcome to episode 15 of the Back Nine Six Pack. My name is Mitch, joined as always by my esteemed colleague Justin. Are you ready for this therapy session tonight, buddy?
Yeah, I need it. A lot of we're coming up on 24 hours post meltdown.
Yeah.
PM.
Chernobyl.
PMD. Post meltdown. Yeah, I'm ready to get into it.
Yeah, well, we'll get into that in a minute. Obviously, we're referring to that being the Stampede. I have one quick question off the top for you, though.
Yeah.
Passionate supporter of the show asked me to ask you this.
Oh, boy.
Hole 2 white on Sunday. What happened out there?
You know, I know who asked you this, and I was going to actually give him credit, but we'll go ahead and cover this now. First hole on Sunday, we all hit pretty good drives, right? We get up there. Ryan and Doug are about 15, 20 yards behind where I can see my ball. Jared Wolver, we're going to give him a shout out. It looks about even, but we're like, hey, let's laser it to see who goes first. That's what you do in match play. You don't want to play out of turn. So I laser it, and he goes, what do you got? He's like, 206. He's like, I got 205. And he's just like, I want it on the record that I did outdrive you by a yard. I think at one point, someone came up to me like, Jared outdrove you today by like 10, 15 yards. I'm like, wait a second. I was like, it was 1 yard, but he did outdrive me. And then I hit it to like 7 feet on the par 5, and then he stuffed it inside of me to like 3. It was just like salt on the wounds of getting outdriven. So it did happen. And I'm pretty sure by the end of the second match, everybody in the entire tournament knew about it.
Yep. Well, now it's officially on the record. It's
It is
recorded
officially on the
for
record.
all of history to hear. Jared Wolver has outdriven Justin Epier.
Yes, he did. He got me. But I think he would admit that was his best hole of the whole entire match, and it was pretty far downhill after that. So,
Yeah.
Hey, it was the cost of doing business, right? He outdrove me, and then things started falling apart. But no, I'll give him credit. He did outdrive me. He can move the ball, though. So I might have towed mine a little bit.
Yeah. Shout out, Jared. I had to get that one in there for him.
Oh, but before we get to the Stampede,
Yeah.
let's talk about the official Stampede beer. Inside is a great Pilsner beer, brewed with the highest quality ingredients. We use choice hops from the Pacific Northwest, as well as Noble Saaz hops, and deliver more taste and aroma and color with only 96 calories. Miller Lite. Great taste, less filling. Official Stampede beer. Kept me filled up the entire weekend. Kept me fueled. Sometimes for better, sometimes for worse, but I always had a delicious beer in my cup, and it was Miller Lite.
Shout out Miller Lite. Get yourself some gold tops.
Get them. Get them. It fueled a 31 on my last match, but we'll get to that.
Yes, we will. Okay, so I don't even know where to start with this. Do we start at the beginning or the end?
I'd say let's start in the beginning. It wasn't off to a good start, right? Weather was trash, right? I mean,
very trash.
Like, we all get there and warm up, and then we didn't hit another ball we didn't hit an actual ball on the course for like an hour and 45 minutes.
Before we get any further, even after the ad read.
We'll go ahead and pop one of these bad boys open. I should not be doing this. I'm in recovery. I'm in recovery mode officially.
Yeah, you're a recovering Stampeder, that's for sure. Weather was awful Saturday morning. Big shout out to the crew at the course and everybody there working that day. I mean,
knocked it out of the park.
For that to even be playable after what we got in the morning was super impressive. And then came back for a pretty nasty round 2 later in the day. And we were able to get back on the course, 30 minutes or less later. So
Yeah. Shout out to John and his crew.
Yeah.
Before the rain, and then even after the rain and squeezing the greens, the course was just, it was perfect. I other than some standing water, which they have no control over in some of the fairways, the greens were dialed, absolutely dialed. So shout out to them for putting on a great tournament on their side of things.
Yeah, that was fantastic to be able to get out there and get all 3 matches in on Saturday, which set us up for a great Sunday. So Saturday matches, if we want to get into it a little bit, some of the specifics. I'll just get out in front of this. Gunth and I did not have it. Straight up. Period.
No.
Point blank.
No, you put me on record. I'm going to put this on record.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys didn't play well on Saturday. I think it was because you didn't do the putting competition.
That's fair. I have not done the putting competition once in my.
But Gunth did last year, and you guys won. And he didn't do it this year.
Could have been the difference. Who knows?
And people were talking. People were talking.
Unbecoming of a champion.
It's very unbecoming of a champion not to do the putting competition on Friday.
Well, I apologize for not apologizing.
Well, that's fair, but we got that on record. But yeah, you guys just didn't. And it happens that way sometimes, right? Like I would say on Saturday, I think for the most part we got pretty lucky. Like we didn't play our best golf, and we only lost the one match we lost was on Saturday in the second match. We came out pretty hot, got 6 in the first match, but like. I don't think either, like, I know I was in my pocket 3 times on the first match. Like, Ryan kind of, led the charge in that first match, but I would think he would still tell you that he didn't even play his best golf on Saturday. And we just caught heaters at the right times. We maybe caught some teams not playing, they playing worse than us. And, it kind of worked out. But yeah, sometimes it happens that way. You get away with it sometimes you don't.
Yeah, our first 2 matches, we scrapped out some halves against, some pretty tough teams. At least they played us really tough. When honestly, like we could have gotten our doors blown off a couple of those.
Yeah.
And then we didn't get our doors blown off, but our last match, it was tied with 3 holes to go. We ended up losing 2 of the 3 holes, and then, turned into a 5.5, 3.5 loss.
Yeah.
Our first loss is a partnership in the Stampede. But yeah, I think coming out of the rain, like we got beat. I believe we got beat with a birdie on that first hole back from the rain.
Yeah.
And the next hole, I was in my pocket right off the tee, and from there.
Yeah. And that's kind of what started really wearing on us, at least on Saturday, was it never felt like we were both in holes.
100%.
And we did it the whole first match, right? Like it was either him in the hole or me in the hole. And that stress like wears on you after a while. Like when you're both in the hole and you're like, look, we got 2 looks at birdies, or we've got, whatever. We know we have a par in the hole or whatever it might be, and we have a shorter birdie putt. Like we just didn't have that. And that stress in the first match led over to our second match, which we ended up losing. And it was just like what we were doing at that point was just unsustainable. And like you said, what you guys did was like you get people in their pockets. Like it's not a sustainable way to play a match.
Right. Yeah, and when I look back on it, like we just straight up did not get off the tee well enough to really win matches. Like that was what it was. Mm-hmm. One of the 2 of us, I literally yesterday I hit one into Tractor Supply's parking lot in a match. So for anyone who has no idea what I'm saying,
I did the same thing too.
Nice, look at that
on Sunday. But yeah,
we're talking about hitting it so far right that you're like across a 4-lane,
a pretty main highway.
Now I bounced in the the middle, like the 3rd lane and into the parking lot. But yeah, I
think mine was more in the westbound lane. I don't think it quite got the Tractor Supply, but yours actually did get. You think it got the Tractor Supply? Oh yeah,
huge hop from the right side
impressive.
Of the highway. Look, I'm a Waffle House king, right? That's usually the miss.
That's your miss. Like if you can just narrow it down to a one-way miss, which is left, you're a much better golfer.
Yes. So when the right miss is big time in play, it's problematic for me and our team.
Yes.
So Saturday, I think we were like 2 points out of the flight. Still felt like we had a chance. Could have gone out there Sunday and done some damage, or get in as the wild card team. But you guys, where were you at in your flight after Saturday?
So we were we won our first match 6-3. We lost our second match 5.5, 3.5. But then that's what I said. Like when we started like actually being in holes together, we started playing better. In that last match, we 7-2'd. I birdied 3 of the last 4 holes. We made some putts. We put pressure on the team we're playing. Like we just did everything right. And part of being a good match play player, like if you're making putts, people are going to start crumbling. Just because they're like, as soon as you line up a ball, they're subconsciously thinking like everything's going to go in. That is a complete, and I'm going to say this, mind fuck for someone you're playing if you're making putts, And we did it, and that momentum from that last match on Saturday when we 7-2, think we needed everything because we were a half point down going into the third match, and there were all three of our matches in our flight were 7-2s, and all the teams that we were close, one of the teams we were behind, and then the team that was tied with us going in that last match, they all won 7-2. So we needed every bit of that to stay in the hunt going into Sunday.
Yeah, we just thinking back on this again, I realized we lost the first hole of all three of those matches on Saturday.
That's tough.
And you're instantly in grind mode. So, like, to your point about, like, when you're making putts and winning, like, it's only 9-hole matches. Like, if you get up 1 or 2 holes right off the bat, people start pressing.
Yeah.
And stuff can go bad quick.
Yeah, and that's probably what happened in our second match. Like, we lost the second hole, and then we went into a hole where I had to give up a shot to the course.
Yeah. And
it just felt like instantly we were pressing. Like, as soon as we lost that first hole, went to the third hole, Ryan hits it in the water, it's like press. Honest, it's like after that, it was like, he's getting angry. He's not hitting the ball well. I'm not hitting it particularly well. But then it's like even putting, it's like you can't free yourself up to make good strokes because you're like, well, like I have this to win, but I also can't blow it by because I don't want to lose the hole after having a chance to win. So you just start so much stuff, I feel like, just starts going through your head as soon as you get down to the match.
Yeah. Before we get into Sunday, too, one last thing I just remember, too, about our third match on Saturday, the one we lost. So we're on the blue course. We steal a win on hole 1. Guns drop like a 40-footer down the hill for birdie.
And that pin place was naughty on Saturday, by the way.
And when our playing partner or our opponents were, he was there for about 4 feet and missed it. So we steal one and we're like, all right, now let's go run downhill. Instead of going and stacking points, we both hit our ball in the water.
Yep.
But also one of them does too, so we're still in the hole. Long story short, I 3-putted from like 5 feet, and we let them win a hole with a bogey.
Yeah, that's.
And then go on to then
I think I heard about that. Yeah. Was that after or before the rain delay?
Right before the hole before the rain delay.
Yep.
So if I make that or don't miss the second one, and it's we're either up a point still or we're up 2.
Yeah.
Makes it a little different.
Yeah.
And that's just our whole weekend was that way. Like, we would win a hole, and then all of a sudden,
it's like,
we're giving the
one step forward, 2 steps back.
We just weren't able to really get that full momentum going at any point.
Yeah, I don't think we in every match. Well, I guess there were 2 matches we didn't win the first point. One of them we lost, but that was on Saturday, and like I think we just got like punched in the face and didn't respond well. And so going into Sunday, that was our whole thing. It was like, look, this is the last day. Like, we're going to get punched in the face at some point today. We've got to respond better than we did on Saturday.
Yeah.
And we did our first. In fact, we lost our first hole on Sunday. And we came back and responded by making, not thinking about, okay, how we got to get points, right? It was like, we're just going to start making good golf swings because we have to and see what happens.
Yeah.
So
our Sunday, we, Gunther and I both felt like, dude, like, we could still work our way in. We played as bad as we can. We're the type of golfers where, like, literally day to day, I could go out one day and shoot 90 and then come back the next day and shoot 75.
Yeah.
That's just the way that I play.
Yep.
And so we get up and we're like, you know what? The hard part's over. We already, we're the defending champs. We're not winning the flight right now. Let's just go play golf, see what happens. We go out there, we get up 4-0 in our match Sunday morning.
I remember this, but continue. Because we saw you. We were on 7 white, you guys were on 8 red. We saw you.
At that point, we're 4.5 to a half because Gunther made a nice birdie when our opponent was in tight and made a birdie as well. So we halved that hole. We did not win another hole in that match. End up having it 4.5 to 4.5. Shout out to Chris DeBoard. I think he was like 3 under in those 5 holes.
Yeah, that's going to get it done.
And
regardless.
So, regardless of me and Gunther absolutely spraying it all over the last 4 holes, like he made 3 birdies on us. Like,
those are going to win
holes most of the time.
Yep.
So that was what we went from, thinking like, man, this could be, 7-2, maybe 8-1, to having it. Yeah, that was tough. And then, we had a good match in the afternoon. Shout out to Aaron Hill and the good doctor, Howie Dean.
Heck yeah.
Had a blast out there with them.
Because you knew at that point you were like, all right, we're pretty much out of it.
So we won 5.5, 3.5 against them, but it was a good time out there. Finally made some birdies. It was nice. But that pretty much wrapped up our Stampede. We did not qualify for the shootout. I think we were in third or fourth in our flight out of 6 teams, and we had a tie at the top that was, I guess they do some sort of score per play, or is it head-to-head?
It's head-to-heads,
okay.
yeah.
So it's a head-to-head. Well, the 2 teams that tied the top, of course, we halved because we freaking halved everybody in this tournament. But bit of a bummer that, we didn't put ourselves in position there.
Yeah. I mean, and that's kind of where we got into Sunday. We're like, look, we're in position. We're a half point back. Like, one match can change it all. But there was way more blowouts in our flight this year than so in 4 years I saw 1-7-2. We had 4 7-2s on Saturday. So going into Sunday, we're like, look, typically when you're like 5-4 match, we win, right? And that's pretty good in the first flight. Win's a win in the first flight. We're like, man, we've got to ratchet up any points we can get, just because if someone goes out on Sunday morning, just specifically the team that we were a half point behind, it was like we could get into a deficit where we never, a point and a half, we might not be able to come back from. But yeah, so we won 5-4 in our first match. Could have been worse. Could have been worse. Could have been better. I mean, shout out to Doug. Doug stuffed the shot on 9, our second to last hole. They win that hole. They have this on the last one, but he also missed some putts. Jared didn't play well, but so we got a 5-4 win there, and so we came in and we had a half point lead going into our last match. And the previous 2 years, obviously last year was rain, but like the year before that, when we went into the last match with like a 1.5 lead or something, we played so defensively. We didn't mean to. Like, it wasn't like we were like, all right, let's go out here and just like play conservatively and just try not to lose, right?
Yeah.
It was just like we played very uptight, being the defending champions, and then someone 7-2'd somebody and we ended up losing the flight because we lost 5-4. That was one of our only other losses we've ever had. So going into that match, I was like, look, we just need 2 balls on evergreen and have opportunities. And we did. I mean, we went out and we started on the first hole. I chipped in from the bunker. I've been telling everybody, I'm like, I'm going to pull a shot out from the bunker. I've been coming super close. And I did. First hole, last match, hold out from the bunker, so we get a win there. And then, man, after the third and fourth hole, which were our second and third holes, like, we took off. Like, birdied 5, parred 6, which is a tough hole, and then we birdied 7, 8, 9, and then we turned to 1 and birdied 1 for our last hole. So I think we were like 8 under net. I was 5 under gross with a bogey. Ryan, I think, shot like 36. I shot 31, and we're like, we're gonna go out, we're gonna play aggressive, we're gonna win the flight. Like, we're not gonna like try to back in. We're gonna go out and we're gonna win the fight, and we did. I mean, when we needed all of that because like our playing partners, they played well. I mean, I think they were like 2 or 3 under net and lost 7-2. Yeah. So we didn't back in this year, and man, it just had like the year we won, we did the same thing. Like, we went out and like we took the match. Like, I think we won 6.5, 2.5. So when we were going in the shootout, we were very, very confident. Right. We're like, this is our tournament to lose. Like, we are clicking on all cylinders. This is the first time we've done it all weekend where we were all like, both of us felt like we were pretty much playing at the top of our games. So,
yeah.
But yeah, so we won our flight, got in a shootout, and then
take us to the shootout.
Let's go ahead and hop into it.
Actually, we need to start on the driving range before the shootout.
So we're on the driving range, and this hole in particular, most would look at it and just go, okay, it's, for someone that hits it like what we do, you're hitting hybrid 4-iron, depending on how firm it is, whatever it might be. you're hitting it down there and you got 100 yards in, right? Over the last 2 months, I've not been doing that. I've been hitting driver. And I've never lost the ball. I've been greenside bunkers on the upslope of the green, leading up to the green, 10, 15 yards out. Heck, I think we even posted one of the videos from like 3 weeks ago of you filming a chip from where I hit my drive to. Like I had like 30 or 25 yards. Like I had been doing that for the last 2 months. Like the reason I was doing that was like, I'm getting ready to hit this tee shot if we make the shootout. Like I'm going to hit driver. But we're on the range and Ryan's like, I don't really like it. Like, just don't take yourself out of the hole. And I'm like, I haven't lost a ball, and I've been doing this for 2 months on that hole. I'm like, I'm not worried about losing a ball. Like, that's the last thing. Honestly, where the pin was, I was more worried about trying to position myself to the left a little bit so I had a better angle, like, for the chip shot. So I wasn't trying to hit, like, a flop shot over a bunker or something like that. And he's just like, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. And I'm like, well, it's the perfect win for it. And I felt like at the time, I was like, look, I'm doing it from an intimidation standpoint. Like, we're going to be teeing, we knew at that time, like, we were going to be teeing off the second team off. Yeah. They went by point totals. And I said, if I blast a drive up on the upslope, people are going to be shitting down their legs. Like, just, it is what it is. Like, if you saw, and maybe you don't know, like, you've never played with me or whatever. Some people in the shootout knew me, some people didn't. If you saw that and you're like, oh shit, that's birdie. And now their mindset is all changed, right? So we get up on the tee. He's still not crazy about the idea. He hits his 5-iron down there to like 95. He actually hit a 4 hybrid. He actually hit it pretty good. Like 90 yards in the green. So I'm like, now that he's in play, like this is, because I was thinking, I was like, okay, if he gets it like behind a tree or something, like, then I'll probably hit it out there with like a 4-iron. And so now he's in play, I'm like, this is green light, right? Like, we got a left wind. I hit a cut. You have to cut it. And, man, I didn't think I made that bad of a swing. And honestly, when we were up on the tee box, I was like, oh, that landed left of the heather. Like, we're fine. Like, I might have a little bit of tree trouble if it got up far enough, but I'm like, definitely in play. In worst case, I hit it up on the back right side and have a chip shot. You know what I mean? Like, that would have been, to me, was going to be worst case scenario. We get up there, nothing up there. We're like, okay. So we start looking along the heather line. No one said they heard it land. And then afterwards, our buddy Tim, he's like, I didn't hear it land. I saw it bounce. And he said it took a direct right hop into the heather. He was like, it was inside the heather line. And honestly, talk to the pro. He's like, I would have asked you to probably hit a provisional if I actually thought it was in. And he was like, I didn't think it was in. He was like, it was definitely left of it. So it had to take a pretty wicked hop. But I made one swing in the shootout and it was done. You know, Ryan hit it over, hit a pretty good chip shot. Yeah. To like 4 feet, and he just missed the putt. And rightfully so, he was mad. Right, he was mad he missed the putt. I think some of his frustrations for missing the putt kind of went out on me. You know, telling me that he's like, I told you not to hit that. He's like, you're the best gross golfer in the shootout, and you took one swing and your tournament was over. And that's a fair point. But I will tell you, if I did it over again, I would still hit the same club. I just would. Yesterday, I was in a different, like, feeling bad and things like that. I'm like, I should have hit 4-iron. I still would do the same exact thing. That was the worst swing I've made on that hole in 2 months. Yeah. And it took a pretty bad bounce for it to still get lost. So our exit was early this year on the first hole.
Yep. And that was kind of, I don't know, the icing on the cake of a tougher weekend, I felt, at least from my perspective. Because, you know, I mean, you guys are my friends. Like, we didn't make it in. Obviously, I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for other guys that we'll talk about here in a minute that are in the field at that point. And, you know, I didn't even get to see you hit a shot in the shootout.
Yeah, you guys didn't even see me swing.
Green,
yeah.
Yeah, that was just a little tough, and I obviously feel bad for Ryan. We've all been in that position where you've got a putt that matters for something.
Yeah, and you got 100 people behind the green, and pretty much 100 people are watching you miss a putt that is going to eliminate you out of a tournament. I mean, it's and from his standpoint, and what I was thinking, the whole time when he had that putt, I'm like, dude, he made 2 of them the year we won, and longer putts, harder putts.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is cake. I was ready to get down. I was ready to go grab a wedge because I knew we had at that point par was going to be a chip off.
Yep.
There was a couple birdies or net birdies, so we knew at that point par was going to be a chip off. I was I was getting my mind ready to hit a chip shot, in the chip off, and. Sometimes it just doesn't go your way, and I understand. I was not the one that missed the putt. I would probably felt pretty embarrassed if I missed it too. It's the natural feeling from a human, right? Mm-hmm. But we've made up since then. He didn't let me have it a little bit, but we've made up since then.
We addressed the altercation in the parking lot on our Instagram feed last night during the shootout. So for anyone interested, you can get our comments on that.
Yep. Yeah, Instagram. But we had a great tournament, and it's so funny. I was the whole weekend. So Saturday morning, it's it's our tradition. I send them a video, motivational. I've sent the locker room speech from Friday Night Lights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This year I was I'm gonna go a different route. Maybe not so much motivational, but just something that's going to be funny. And the reason it was funny on Friday, he played really well in the money game, and I was calling him my thoroughbred. This is my thoroughbred. This is my Kentucky Derby winner. This is my Triple Crown winner.
Yeah.
So I sent him a scene from Secretariat, and it was us, I was this is us running away from the pack. It's our tournament to lose. And the one part, it's she goes, "Let him run, Ronnie. Let him run." I swear to God, I said it 100 times on the golf course.
Dude, I might have heard it 50 of those times because you can hear your loud ass from everywhere on the property.
So I told him right before it put, I was let him run, Ronnie. Let him run.
Yeah.
And I thought it would loosen him up a little bit. But there's just certain situations you're just not going to be loose for, and that's one of them. I mean, you're putting in front of 100 people, and everybody knows you need to make it, and you know you need to make it. Yeah. So, but he's. I kid on his birthday that I was I still haven't offered his contract extension to be partners, but we played well enough that it's I was not going to ditch him ever, but we'll be back at it again. But I thought we had a great tournament.
Yeah, it was it was mine and Gunt's first time as a team not being in the shootout, so.
Yeah, that was his first time not being in the shootout, right? Yeah. So you got to experience the behind the green stuff.
Which was, a blast. I mean, obviously I told him last week on the pod, I hope he never gets to experience it. But
you didn't think it was going to be the next week.
Yeah,
but.
And so he did get to experience it, and we both agreed, this is fun, but it's a hell of a lot more fun to be out there in the shootout. So we'll give it a go again next year, and we'll see where the chips fall.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
All right, so that's the end of our shootout, but we still had a couple guys, our buddies Derek and Connor, that were out there. Got deep.
Man, hey, you want to talk about the huevos on both of them guys.
And straight up, that was a fun shootout to watch.
It was. Yeah, it was. There was a lot. It seemed the first hole's just a cluster, right? There's so much going on. There's going to be a chip off because
yeah.
But usually on the second hole, it kind of chills out a little bit. You kind of start having people separate from the pack. You're okay, they're playing pretty good. But man, it's as soon as you thought someone was playing good, it was they'd hit a bad shot, and then the people that weren't playing good, they'd hit a good shot, and it's it was pretty entertaining. I mean, from a watching standpoint, other than the chip in last year and the chip off, from a standpoint of entertainment, it was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, so there was a chip off on all 3 holes.
Yeah, which hardly, because I said, usually 9 red, there's not.
Yeah.
There has been in the past, but typically that's the hole that doesn't get a chip off.
So yeah, I mean, Derek with the chip off on 9 red. I mean, Connor hit a really good chip there. He just got beat, and Derek had to beat 7 feet, hits it to 6 and a few inches to survive and advance. Just awesome shot. They get over to 1. Connor, frankly, like stuffs one.
Yeah, he hit. Yeah, it was like 4 feet,
Yeah, well, maybe a little longer.
maybe
than that.
6 feet. Yeah,
I think it was somewhere between like it's probably around 8 feet if I had to guess. It's hard to tell where we were standing.
Yeah.
But gets up there and buries it. You needed a net 2 to get into the chip off.
A net eagle. A net eagle to get in.
Yeah, so we had on that hole we had a par for a guy getting 2 pops for 2, and then 2 gross birdies for the net 2 to get into the chip off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here's where shit got wild. So we're all just kind of standing around waiting for the chip off to happen. All of a sudden, people just start running to the back of the green where the chip off is
I like. Obviously, like having a friend at the Elks like that has had a recent heart attack, my mind instantly went to that. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Well, yeah, and I mean, people, it's hot.
Like,
people are drinking a lot.
And they like they were like the way they were running over there. I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, this is not good.
Yeah. Turns out, Derek's lining up his chip. Connor's over there taking a couple practice swings, and one of our eventual champions, to spoil it a little bit. Tom Wiles is walking behind him. I guess didn't see, and Connor didn't see him.
Yep, cracked him right in the face.
Wedge to the eyebrow. Down goes Frazier. You can laugh about it now because they immediately, shortly after, hugged it out.
Yeah,
they got him
good,
a Band-Aid. Things were cool.
And it wasn't like it was bleeding for a little bit, but then I guess it stopped bleeding pretty quickly, and they're like, all right, he's not going to need stitches or anything like that. But he went down, and I'm like, oh my. And when I found out what happened, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, and what I was thinking, I was like, how does Connor hit a chip shot after this?
And I was sitting there thinking, how the hell does Derek hit a chip shot?
Yeah.
He's the one lining
He's going
it up,
first.
And, going first, and his partner just...
And then I was kind of like, how is Tom going to hit a chip shot? He's got a freaking Band-Aid on his eye right now. Like, it was wild.
Well, long story short, those are the 2 teams that advanced out of the chip off.
Which made it so much better.
Yeah.
Like, it was just like...
You didn't want that to affect how
the outcome. Yep.
And I mean, no offense, they made gross birdies on that hole. We
4-2.
like gross birdies.
Yeah, but 4-2 was a tough scene because that's the first year in the 4 years I played in that tournament that someone's gotten 2 pops in a shootout.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder how often someone from that. I think they were in the last flight, so I don't know how many times someone from the last flight gets this far. Honestly,
that's no offense,
but I'm just
but it was. I was like, oh, that's 4, they're gone, and then it's there, and then they're like 4-2, and I'm like,
everyone.
Whoa.
There was like a guttural sound.
Oh,
from
it was
crowd.
almost like a groan, and like I guarantee it passed through some people's minds to possibly boo.
Ugh.
Like
yeah.
So, but look, the chip off worked. It worked things out, right? Like the 2 people that gross birdied got in.
Yeah. So we get to 9 white. Everybody's kind of scattered a little bit. I think Derek's in the bunker. Tom, and is it Gary?
Gary Wiles.
Okay.
Yep.
Tom. So he's playing with his brother. Cool story, obviously. They're both a little bit short.
Yeah. Yep. I think they're both like fringe fairway-ish. Yeah.
And Connor was a little bit flared out to the right. Didn't hit the best drive on the hole, so he was.
And we had thought for a second that Connor was going to be getting a pop on that hole, so we're like, dude, just get it up and down. Like, if you get up and down, it's a 4-3. If you 5-4 at the worst, like unless they make one of their putts.
Yeah, so I guess they redo the handicaps specifically for the shootout.
They do.
So he actually got that pop on red 9, which he made a 4 for 3 that got them to the next hole.
Yes,
so,
exactly.
And they avoided the chip off.
Yep, exactly.
So Connor puts it on the green. Derek's on the green as well. I think Gary and Tom both had like 3 feet. They were pretty short putts.
Yeah, they were. Which I'm telling you, like Cody 4 years ago missed the baby to win. Like it was like a 2-footer. So like the pressure's there.
Pressure is there.
So it's like it's like nothing's guaranteed. Like easily could have missed both of those.
Yeah.
Like with the pressure and knowing that this is for the win.
Right, and so Connor gets up and hits his, and catches the hole, doesn't go down.
He made a good run at it.
Really good putt at it. I think Derek just missed a little bit low, and then was it Tom that buried the putt to win, or Gary?
No, it was Gary. Yep.
Gary makes his putt. The Wiles brothers are the 2023 Stampede champions. Awesome shootout.
Yep, and they're super nice guys. Like they couldn't. I mean, they're Tom was in our fight like 3 years ago, and it was really the first time that I got to talk to him, and we played in a spring scramble. Super good guys. Couldn't have happened to better people. There's definitely people in the shootout that we didn't particularly want to win. So
Right.
I'm glad that it worked out. Obviously, we would love to see Connor and Derek bring it home, keeping in the Elks Hackers chat for one more year. But
Yeah.
I'm good with Gary and Tom pulling it out.
For sure. Congrats to those guys. And obviously simultaneously proud and bummed for Connor and Derek. When you're not in it, there's nothing better than when you've got
Somebody
a
to cheer
buddy
for.
in there
Yep.
that you are cheering hard for. So it was awesome to watch. Okay, before we wrap up Stampede talk, Ryan and I talked for about an hour last night. I think he needed a friendly ear. I let him vent a little, and then we just got to talking a little bit. And I want to preface this by saying I don't think there's any right answers here. This is like an impossible task in a lot of ways. But I think it's worth asking some questions about some of the rules and format. I think it's worth a conversation.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and that's the cool thing. Like the Stampede rules have kind of changed over time. Like they've taken some things away, they've added some things,
which I respect. That's awesome.
Not so much recently since I've been a member, but I've heard like what certain things they used to do and they don't do anymore. I think the most recent thing that changed for us is they don't go off your current index; they go off your 12-month low, which I think is good. I think it's a very good change.
Yeah, and then was it an 8-round minimum at the Elks?
Yeah, it used to be. Used to be a minimum round requirement. So they did not have it this year.
That went away, and we've had the 12-month index rule for this is the second year now.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, last year was the first year for the 12-month low.
Okay. So we're going to start at this point. This is nobody. I don't think anyone can control this except for at an individual level. And this is something that I will forever be frustrated with because this is something that's not in my nature. When I'm on the golf course, I'm trying to shoot the lowest score I can shoot. I do not care when it is, where it is, how it is.
Nope.
I can triple the first 3 holes of a 9-hole round, and I will do everything in my power to shoot 45 or lower.
Yeah, then that's...
Okay, so that's number 1.
Okay.
Number 2.
I agree with that.
Number 2. If I play a round and it qualifies to be posted, I am posting the round.
Yeah, doesn't matter if it's a 68 or a 92.
It's in there.
Yep.
And those are 2 things that I don't know that I can say about every single person in the field. And we will leave it at that.
Yeah. I think it's a very, very good chunk of people do it. I do think there are definitely people that don't do that. There's definitely people. Definitely. I mean, and now that what are we on, like our 3rd or 4th year with the new handicap kind of what they transitioned to, where it's kind of hard to move up and it's really easy to move down, you know. Mm-hmm. But I think still the one thing, and I don't even know if you could. There's really no way around if someone doesn't post a score, someone doesn't post a score. Like you can't count it in there without them posting. So that's the only real way around the handicap system now, is you just don't post it. You know what I mean? And there's people out there. They're not, look, we're not going to name names. That's not what we're here to do.
No.
Like we're just saying, like from a standpoint of, when certain people see you out there every week, and you've got 11 scores posted, like. And that's not like a particular instance that but I'm just saying, like, there are people that I know that are out there a lot. And there's like, they have like 10 scores posted. I'm like, you literally played 10 times in July.
Because,
like, you know what I mean?
Right.
So,
well, this is a thing that it would eliminate. It would get rid, like, the fact we have like a handicap committee and there's like a lot of conversations about like, oh, well, this guy's getting cut, and then this guy's getting cut, and, oh, that guy's not really this handicap, he's this. Like,
or at least the discussion about
around
it, right?
that, yes.
Yeah, like, this guy's a sandbagger. It's like...
Okay, well, if everyone was just honest about their scores and posting all their scores, that's a moot point.
Yeah, yeah. And
unless you're actually going out there and you're intentionally shooting worse than you could.
Which is incredibly dumb, you know.
Could happen, sure, but, like...
I wouldn't play, like, you would have to play 10 rounds of golf and intentionally go out there and play bad. Like, that would be so dumb.
And if you're going to go to that extent, then okay.
You're an idiot.
Congratulations.
First off,
yeah,
you're an idiot.
You've won the award.
Yeah, you've won the award for the biggest idiot.
But I can't tell you how many times in, just this weekend, like, we're not naming names, but, guys blowing up on a hole and, like, it's just jokes about, like, oh, well, I guess it's a handicap builder now, and they're, like, laughing it off and stuff. And I'm like, I'm in the woods and I'm fucking pissed. That I'm about to take a triple on this hole. I'm not trying to build my handicap. I'm trying to not triple bogey the goddamn hole.
Yeah.
And that frustrates me to no end. That's the one thing. Because what that trickles down to is it doesn't matter necessarily match to match in your flight. Because unless there's like a big discrepancy between like a playing partner and his guy. Like in our flight, it's like a shot per 9 on who's getting a pop here or there. Just that's the way our flight broke and has broke for the last few years. But what it matters for is like when you're actually flighting the tournament and, maybe somebody's in the wrong flight or somebody's on the 1 line in the flight that maybe they should really be the 3 if there wasn't some other weird stuff going on. And those things matter in the scope of the tournament.
100%. And I don't know how, and that's the good thing, too, is these rounds that were competition rounds, right? Like, these things are going to get posted. Like,
and they stay in there. And here's the other thing, too. Somebody's ball, like, they're in their pocket. Like, I can tell you how many people ask me. Like, I was in my pocket a lot, right?
Yeah.
So, how many times do I got asked, like, what do you want on the hole? We don't get to just make this shit up. What do you mean, what do I want on the hole?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, in reality, like, if you take an X, it should be a double. Like,
what's net double bogey is the max on a hole.
Yeah, yeah.
But like I'm talking, there's guys that are putting for 5 on the green, for a bogey on the green, and they pick up because their partner's in for par or whatever, and they go and they write.
To me, if you pick the putt up, it's a 5.
It's a 5, exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And if they go over and they're like, oh well, I wouldn't have made that 20-footer, so I'm going to give myself a 6.
I'll give Jared another shout out. Like in our match, like he picked up it was like a 12-foot bogey putt, and he's like, give me 5.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, he didn't go, oh, I would have missed that. Like, no, that's not how that works.
And like I said,
And I know people kid around about it, like, oh, I would have missed that. But it's like, I think they kid, and then it's like, okay, like, I'm taking that because I picked it up and I pretty much gave it to myself, essentially. So, but I do think there's people out there that have like
that happened.
A 2-foot bogey putt, and they're like, oh, I probably would have missed that. Give me a 6. Like, that's not the way to do it because essentially is like if you're putting for 5 and I go, oh, you're fine, pick it up because you're going to be out of the hole anyway. That's a conceded putt. That's the score you get.
Exactly.
So I get where
that's
you're coming
the thing
from
that frustrates me, and we're just not everyone's not playing on a level playing field at that point because it's
yeah.
And there's nothing that anybody from a tournament perspective can do about it. No,
there's nothing. I mean, there's literally. But
as individuals, it's on like golf is a game of honor above anything else.
And self-government.
And self-governance, yeah. So...
Yeah, 100%.
Go play your best, post the score. That's all it should be about.
No, but I do like the 12-month low. That is great. That was one of the best changes I think they made just because you can't go into a year and, like, I'm going to work my handicap up. Well, it's going to go off your last year low anyway, so you can get up to an 18. That doesn't mean you're going to play to one, you know. But, like, this had to be a record for, at least since I've been playing in it, the amount of plus handicaps we had. So my flight had, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then, so we had 5 people that had to give up shots to the course. 4 of us had to give up 4 total shots across 27 holes. There was a couple, I think 1 that had to give up 1 on one side. But when there's no plus handicaps, it doesn't really matter, right? And that's how it was in the beginning. Like the first year I played it, I wasn't even a plus handicap. I think I was like right around a 1. So it doesn't really matter, right? Like I'm not going to be giving up shots on a hole I might even been higher than that, but I was not giving up shots. But now that we have like multiple plus handicaps, like I would like to see, you play to the low ball, right? So the low ball gets 0 shot, like 0 across the board, right? They're not giving up shots to the course or anything like that. But in turn, like other people get more shots.
Yeah.
Which, you know what? Have your pop on an extra hole. So as long as I don't have to give up a shot on a 155-yard par 3. And we joked about it in one of our matches. Wes was in my flight, and we gave up the same amount of shots this weekend, and he like started plumb bobbing, and he's like, "This is my birdie putt." He's like, "I'm gonna hit it right edge," and it's like he was like started laughing because you're like, "It is." It's like, and like the one match, I was like joking. I was like, "You guys are assholes for not giving me this birdie putt," like just joking because you're hitting 2 off the tee automatically. So, yeah, it's with amateur golfers because that's what we are, right? Like Wes is a great player, Mark's a great player, Jared's a great player. I've gotten a lot better over the last 2 or 3 years. We're still amateur golfers,
right?
You know what I mean? Like we don't do this for a living. To give shots back to the course is just insane.
Well, and within your flight specifically, like you have a lot of good players in that flight. And the guys that are not giving back strokes on those holes, like
you have a
they
one,
have about
you have
as
a
good
one
a
handy,
chance.
You have
as
a one
you.
handicap. Yeah, they have just as good of a shot as me than hitting it close because that's what happens. Like now you have a 1 handicap that is hitting a shot and he's not giving back a shot, but then like I am. But it's like realistically, our golf games are not that far apart, really.
Exactly.
The difference between like me and a 2 is, a handful of bad rounds a year, maybe 1 or 2 bad rounds a year. Realistically. But yeah, it's tough because then it's like, and then my partner is going against 2 0 handicaps on a par 3. You know what I mean? It's like, it's tough. Luckily we only lost 1 time on one of those holes. We actually won a couple of them. But it puts all the pressure on your partner. You're essentially in your pocket as soon as you walk on the tee box.
Yeah. I think it's the fact that you have to get the holes you give it up on are the par 3s and then
a 1 par 4 that's like
that's
295 or something like that. Yeah.
And so
which I don't even mind it that much on the par 4. I'm like, at least I still have a chance to make like 2 net 3 if I hit a good drive and it rolls up on the green and I make an eagle. Yeah. But I think. Go ahead. You can. We suggested par 5s, right? Like par 5s play as par 4s.
And I think there's 2 reasons. The guys that are pluses at our club you guys are long hitters for the most part, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So there's that element to it, but also the fact giving it up on a par 3 to me, even though it's within your flight and there's good players, so this doesn't come into that much of a play like it would if you were playing against like me or whatever. Like there's so much less luck involved when you have to make me hit more shots.
Yeah.
Versus a par 3, I could literally skank it onto the green and it rolls up there. And
to 10 feet and you make birdie, know.
Yeah, or I 2-putt par and then you make a par and then I beat you.
Yeah.
Versus on a par 5, someone's got to hit 2, 3 good shots to beat you because all the par 5s out there you're going for in 2.
Yep. Yeah, and it's shout out to Wes. He birdied 4 of the par 3s he played where he had to get back a shot. And he said they lost one of them and tied the other 3.
Yeah. And that's
so he made 4 birdies on par 3s, tied 3 times, and actually lost on one of them.
Yeah.
That's tough.
The variance that happens on a par 3, like there's a lot more luck, I think, involved in a par 3 than there is a par 5 or a 4.
Like where you're hitting multiple shots. Yep.
Yeah. So that's where I think that, especially for our course, how it's currently the way it plays and
the technology
I think it makes the
and
most
things
sense.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
make that a par 4 for you, and then
we'll see. I hope there would be a change there, and I've made it known, like, hey, I think we should play off the low ball, and I think everybody's good enough listeners that control that stuff, like our MGA board. Like, I think they're good people too. Like they'd be willing to, they are willing to listen to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think if you ask the majority of golfers, but
that's the thing is if
there's
someone
literally guys out there that like didn't even believe you that was true.
They didn't even think that was a thing.
They do not comprehend
that
people can give a shot.
And it
back
didn't
and forth.
register when I told them there was 4 people in our flight giving back shots on par 3s.
Yeah, people that blew people's mind.
Yeah.
So that it feels unnatural.
Yeah,
right?
and if someone has a problem, it's like, look, guys, like because I'm not giving back shots to the course, you get more shots. Like, you're going to get more pops. Like when you explain it to them that way, I think they'd be like, oh, yeah, I'm good with that. You know what I mean? Like, you mean I usually get a shot on 7 white, but I didn't get one this year, and it's like, well, if I don't have to give shots back to the field, you probably get that shot. So
yeah,
I think it eventually, that would be a change that I'd at least like to see. And it's not even it's funny. I looked at our holes when I gave back shots. Like maybe one would have changed, like an outcome would have probably changed. But for the most part, like it wouldn't have changed much. I think it's just from a standpoint of leveling the playing field a little bit on those holes where it's like, if you're playing someone giving back a shot, you're like, this is probably almost a guaranteed win for us. Like we're 2 versus 1. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the very minimum, we're going to tie it.
Yeah.
So,
and I think obviously guys that get pops, like it does and can change the way you play hole. Maybe you play more conservatively or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think it it changes the way you play hole way more when you're giving it back than it does for someone who's getting a pop. Because I mean, if you're getting a pop, and a lot of guys are probably still trying to make a birdie, right? You get a net 2 and you're out of there. But for you, it's like, okay, well, I guess I got to walk up here and stuff this thing, and maybe I still don't win the hole.
Yeah, because some of the birdies and it does like a move.
It's just a different thing that I think feels not right.
But on that note, I would say shout out to our MGA board and Sean and the pros. I mean, they every year great event. Like it's good when when we're talking about material changes to like the formats, like in handicaps. We're not talking about this is a change I'd like to see in the tournament. The tournament itself is flawless. Right? They put on a good event.
Yeah. I mean, those guys are there the entire weekend.
Yeah.
Leading up to it.
Multiple
everything.
meetings leading up to it, and obviously
we had the rain. They're out there on the course squeegeeing greens and fairways.
I remember Doug
and they're playing in the tournament too.
Yeah.
Like I mean, that's
Doug and Vice were out there squeegeeing greens, and they're playing. Shout out to them. Awesome people, and put together a great tournament.
Yeah, best weekend of the year by far. Now we've got 364 days or whatever until the next one.
Yep.
Sad.
It might be 363 at this point.
Yeah, I think next year's a leap year, so you get an extra day.
Oh shit. Okay. Well,
that's sad. I shouldn't even said that.
Yep.
All right. Well, before the Stampede, we had a bit of a day ourselves on Thursday.
Yeah, the Barbasol.
Got to head down to Lexington, Kentucky with our buddy Nick and grabbed a little pregame breakfast. Shout out Doodles.
Doodles was good. My Huevos Rancheros was pretty freaking good.
We all 3 got Huevos Rancheros.
Just living dangerously, too, by the way, with all that walking we were about to do.
Yeah. Which, speaking of the walking, ended up walking about 9 miles.
Yeah. For
the record. That was impressive.
I did like that we took it easy before Kevin teed off. We kind of just didn't leave that far from the clubhouse.
Well, when you got the Casamigos experience right there on the 9th green.
Dude, shout out to the Barbasol. That was fantastic. Shout out Casamigos for setting that up. That was, dude, it's right there. It was right. It's you almost felt like your room was on the green.
It's a par 3 over water, and there's a little fairway cut out to the right, and that's where they had this whole fan experience set up. With picnic tables and high tops,
well, and you would sit if you sat on the edge, the players walked 2 feet from you.
That's the first thing we should say is you don't get quote unquote access, but you were right up on the ropes, right next to the guys.
Yeah, and
it's
and
as
I
close
say
as you could get at a sporting event.
And I go to the Memorial every year, and it's obviously way more crowded at the Memorial, but from a standpoint of guys walking outside ropes and stuff like that, just doesn't happen at the Memorial. Dude, we saw players just walking through, right through the fan area. You know what I mean? It was kind of crazy.
Yeah, and there were some crosswalks where we're walking, 50 to 100 yards basically alongside the players. They just trust you to go out there and not,
Yeah, so it was that. I'd never been to and I don't think you have been to the Barbasol, and
No.
you kind of go and you're like, all right, it's an opposite field event for the DP World Tour and the PGA Tour. You're like, what is this going to entail? Like, are we just going to is this going to be like a glorified club championship kind of thing? You know what I mean? Like, you just don't know.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, it was well done. I mean, beautiful course too. I thought there were some goofy holes on the back. But
I think we agreed the front nine was far superior.
front nine was unbelievably designed.
The back nine
golf
truly
course.
almost felt like a different course to me.
It did.
It was
like target golf and like not hitting
a lot
driver.
more tight.
Yeah, very tight, out of
through the
bounds.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we buried the lead. Shout out to our guy Jay Green for hooking us up with the tickets.
Yeah, absolutely.
The official caddy of the back nine six pack.
Yep.
So yeah, like Justin said, we hung around and around the ninth hole and watched some shots come in and stuff before we did follow Max Moldovin for a few holes.
Yep.
He was putting together a nice round early.
Yeah,
when
and
we
then
were there.
somehow he ended up missing the cut. I don't know. I guess he didn't play good on Friday.
On Thursday, he bogeyed a couple coming in, I know. But after we got our fill of Casamigos, we were getting ready for Jay and Kevin's tee time. Followed them for 18 holes.
Yeah, stuck it out.
We thought we were going to hit a first-round leader bet live.
We did. I mean, geez, he got off to a hot start. Really should have made the one birdie on one.
Yeah.
Barely missed it.
So
Then he stuffed one on two.
Stuffed one on two, which was a really great shot. Buried that putt. Ended up chipped in from a bunker on the next hole. So he gets to 4 under through 5, and we're like, dude, it's all happening.
Like all the puzzle pieces are coming together.
Yeah. And then, get bad lip out on 7 for bogey and just kind of battled but couldn't quite get it back and struggled coming home. Had an OB ball on 15, was a par 5 that led to a double.
He did birdie it the next day, so shout out to him for
did.
blocking out the PTSD from snap hooking, not really snap hooking, but kind of smothering one left out of bounds.
Yeah.
So
he ended up shooting 3 under for the tournament, missed the cut on the number, unfortunately. But it was just really cool for me. That was the first regular tour event I've actually been to.
Yeah.
I've only ever been to the President's Cup at Muirfield. And 2, I have not followed one player for an entire round.
No, I've never done that as a memorial. Just
So,
FYI.
Watching a pro
Kind of go through his round.
yeah, just
right?
piece together a round was a really cool process. And watching Jay out there working and doing all that was awesome. And another shout out to Jay was feeding us waters all day long.
Dude, we needed it.
Major key because it was 1,000 degrees out there.
And I was on a 1 beer per hole pace.
Yeah, it was.
You're like, how did
beer,
you
water,
finish? You're like,
alternating.
I think it was on 6. You're like, you finished that beer in less than a hole, and I'm like, dude, it was going to be hot if I didn't.
Yeah.
But his group on Thursday was Stephen Stallings Jr., UK grad from Louisville, got his sponsors exemption in. Nicest parents in the world, by the way.
Oh, they were
because
awesome.
we were kind of following. There was not a lot of people that and generally at a tournament, there's not a lot of people that just follow a group.
Yeah.
So we kind of got to know them. Super nice lady. They own a Mexican fast casual restaurant in Louisville. But super nice people. Steven Stallings was the longest driver of the golf ball I think I've ever seen in person, and he wasn't that big. He was
really that? I mean, he was.
Dude,
for
he
sure.
was long, sneaky long. He was.
What was
we
that
figured
one par
that one.
five?
He hit it 415 on that one par 5.
Yeah, I mean that was downhill,
Downwind, but still.
But he put that thing on the downslope and it took off.
Yeah,
the hop
yeah.
that thing took was wild.
And then Kyle Westmoreland, super cool story, military guy, absolute unit.
Yeah, and we thought he was on his way to a 90, and he scratched it around. I think he ended up shooting 76, 4 over.
Yeah.
Which, the way he started, it looked bad.
It looked
early,
like we were on 85 watch
Yeah.
for the first 7 holes.
Yeah.
But he's a unit. And the crazy thing was he was the shortest guy in the group off the tee.
Yeah.
It
Probably.
sounded different coming off his club, but then you have Steven Stallings, and Kevin's definitely not short by any means.
I'm willing to say Kevin is a flusher. Mm-hmm. I remember looking up
He is a flusher
his
of a
approach
golf ball.
stats during the round. We looked it up, and I think he was inside the top 30 on tour and approach to the green.
Yeah.
Let's get our guys some starts, man.
He
I'll
is
take that approach game anywhere.
He is a legit flusher of the golf ball. I don't think he ever hit an iron where I was like, oh, that's not good.
Dude, it
it felt like every shot he hit with an iron was one at the pin, and like his distance control on his
Yes.
irons was like filthy.
And from like he probably he's a little squirrely with the driver, so like we had some weird lies and stuff. Even like out of the rough in there, he's just like pin high.
Like I
all
thought
day.
about that wedge he hit on 17. I'm like, dude, there's no way he's gonna get this within like 25 feet because he was like in the rough, side hill lie.
Yeah, side
hits
hill,
it to like
downhill.
8 feet. I'm like, holy crap. Yeah. He is a flusher though. He really truly is a flusher.
And then the third and final shout out to Jay. We were standing around the putting green while Kevin's hitting some putts and stuff, and he looks over at Jay and he's like, "Well, Jay, you're doing yardages today."
Yeah.
And Kevin left his yardage book at the hotel.
That's a tough start to the day, like not having your yardage book. But
obviously Kevin's the one hitting the ball, but hey, good on Jay, probably getting him some good numbers there.
Yeah, absolutely.
To be able to lift pin high like that.
And then he fed us that Tommy Gainey story, which was fucking hilarious, by the way.
We'll put that behind the paywall for sure.
Oh,
but yeah,
I love me some Tommy Two Gloves, and it just like when I heard that story, I was like, it all makes sense. Like,
one other thing from when we were talking to Jay in the putting green, and Kevin was staying a little bit of ways, and Jay said they were just kind of sitting around hanging out or whatever, and Kevin goes, "Who the fuck is back 9 6-pack?"
Yeah, because you had tagged him in that post, so I'm sure that's what he was referencing.
I think they were at the hotel still, and I tagged him in the screen or the picture of the Barbasol, whatever the sign out front, and so that was hilarious.
I mean, just in case, like open invitation, Kevin, if you ever want to come on, like
for sure.
He seems like a really really cool guy, and I enjoyed following him. On Thursday, I think we all had a good time.
Yeah, that was sweet. All right, wrapping up the Barbasol, the winner ended up being Vincent Norman. I didn't catch anything after Thursday. We were too busy this weekend.
Yeah, no.
But, he's a 25-year-old kid from Sweden, played at FSU, 23 starts, gets a win.
It's not
opposite field event, but gets a win.
A win's a win. It gets you in the Masters.
Yeah. And I was just looking at his numbers just to see, like, kind of what his game's like. Massive gainer off the tee. He's 12th on tour in driving distance.
Oh, God.
So, dude just mashes. So maybe he probably could have got Steven Stallings Jr.
I kind of want to see what Steven Stallings Jr.'s driving stats were, but just to see where he fell compared to Vincent Norman.
Yeah, but I've seen, Vincent, I don't know much about him, but I'd seen his name pop up on leaderboards here and there at some of these, smaller fields or weaker fields, I should say, and he, good on him getting a win here.
Yeah, in the playoff too, right?
Yeah, so I think he actually bogeyed the last hole. Needed a par to win. And but he did, I believe he birdied the playoff hole. 18, which is the dog leg around the water.
Yep.
So
good
win for him. And then in the Scottish Open,
Rory back in the winner's circle.
Oh, our guy. But he does this
a week early.
He does this. I think he had the back-to-back Canadian Opens right before the U.S. Open.
How heavily is he going to be betting this week?
It's probably going to be huge.
I don't even. It's probably not even worth a bet. Like that's how.
No, I think
his odds are going to be.
I haven't even looked at an odds board, but I've listened to a few other podcasts, and he was the favorite going.
I would imagine. Yeah.
So it's him and then Scotty, which shout out Bob McIntyre. I think he almost won his home open. Would have just been a magical story. Had a really impressive birdie I saw on the last hole to. Have a chance, but Rory birdied the last hole to win it. Which, speaking of, the only thing I will say about Rory in next week, maybe exercise some demons here for Sundays and finishes. Shot 37 on the front and was 2 over, just looking like he was out of it. Classic, like, sad Sunday Rory that we hate to see. And then shot 31 on the back.
Yeah, that's getting it done.
He might have got the back 9 6-pack.
Yeah, he probably did.
Yeah.
Hey, me and him both shot 31 on Sunday. Look at that.
That's one thing you guys have in common.
We're finishers.
Yeah. So notables here. Scotty, another top 5, ho-hum. T3.
Just collected paychecks.
I cannot. The end of the season, I'm looking forward to. I know there'll be comps to some other great seasons and maybe even to Tiger Woods, of course. If he could stack a couple wins here to get, I think he's got 2 this season.
Yeah.
He's won the Waste Management.
If he gets
the Players,
like 3 or 4,
gets to like 4 wins, and with the number of top 5s and stuff he's had, like, geez,
it might be one of the best seasons if he can do that.
Yeah.
He needs more than 2 wins though. Like
I think so too.
We've had some guys recently win 4 or 5 times in a year.
Right.
It's like if he gets to that, but plus like the no miss cuts and all this stuff, like it's a pretty incredible year especially for how he's putt the ball. Like usually when guys don't putt the ball or putting the ball like he is, like they're missing cuts left and right.
Yeah,
and he's getting top fives. So
I know it's wild. So our boy Max T12, we like that. He's actually, I know his major record's not great, but been listening to a few things, and he's actually played pretty well just on links courses, which is cool to see. He's a good creative player, good putter. Wyndham Clark, just shout out to him for continuing top 25 after winning the U.S. Open, still in that run. Ricky Xander JT all kind of took a step back on Sunday, but good on him getting over there, getting some links-ish experience. This won't play like Hoylake will play, that's for sure. Missed cuts, though. Cantlay, Fitzpatrick, and our king, Jordan Spieth.
Missed the cut.
But I do think it wasn't that bad. Just kind of looking back.
No, I don't. I kind of looked it up when you sent this over to me. I don't think it was like terrible.
No. So look.
But Cantlay, man, Cantlay's in a bit of a funk.
Yeah, I feel like he's always feels like he's always quiet, even when he's doing well. It's kind of like you forget about it because he's forgettable.
He's very boring.
So you could have told me that. I don't know. You could have just told me he won 2 weeks ago. I would have believed you. So
I was like, yeah, maybe you did.
Yeah, I don't know. So we'll see with him. I'll already call it now. He's not going to win the Open Championship.
No.
It's like an auto not going to win pick.
No. Yep. Maybe even a miscut again too. Miscut bet. I might place one of those on him.
Don't get me tempted here. Good time.
I'm tempting.
All right, I've got a full disclosure on the Open. I'm waiting as long as I can because you got to see what the weather's doing.
Yep,
you can get just washed out.
The waves can definitely, whether you're going to win or not.
Yeah, and it could even be like if you're within like this tiny little like hour and a half window, like not even necessarily like the wave, but like just like a
like your back nine, your last 7 holes you play in 50 mile an hour wind and rain, could be the difference for sure.
So we'll see on that. We do need to figure out who needed the back nine 6-pack this week. This is funny to me because if you remember in our Casamigos experience, we had seen Jazz come through.
He was on 90 watch.
He was on 90 watch. Got it in 85. And the rest of the day we were joking kind of like, oh, who's on Jazz watch? We're like checking the leaderboard and stuff because like we want to see.
I kept saying like Jazz hands.
Yeah. And we actually saw, that was the first round obviously that we were there. We did see Daniel Chopra come through.
Yes, we did.
And he was on Jazz watch. But he saved it in round 1 and shot 79.
Yes.
I was unaware of what happened in his round 2 until this morning when I was looking at this.
88?
88.
On that course?
41, 47. So I was fully expecting to get up today and
Jazz was going to
get it because that was our.
By the way, Daniel Chopra. Who do we say he looked like? I can't even remember now. But I'm like, dude, he's a unit too, man. Yeah, he's a big guy. It's hard walking that many holes in 2 days.
He's just trying to grind his way to the Champions Tour right now. He's 49. I looked it up today.
So he's just trying to hang around until he can get on there.
He's gonna go try to cash some checks out there.
Yeah, I mean it's got to be Chopra, right? Like,
yeah, he's gonna go from shooting 88 at the the Barbasol to next year. He's probably gonna win like a Champions Tour major or something. Just because he's probably going to be longer than 75% of the guys.
Yeah, but a 47 on the back, that's him.
Yeah, 41, you got to pick up the 6-pack at the turn and get that 47 down
47.
to 41 or something. Give a run at a breaking 80 still.
Yep.
So Daniel Chopra. Glad we got to see you, but you deserve the back nine 6-pack this week.
You get it. Maybe he gets the bump. I don't even know what his next tournament is, but maybe he gets a bump.
Yeah. So I've got the Open Championship down on the agenda here. We just kind of talked about that, though. Do you have anything that you've already kind of...
No, I mean, I got some odds here. So Rory's plus 650 as the favorite. Scotty's just very close behind at plus 700. And then there's a pretty big jump after that to John Rahm, who's plus 1,300, which I know he's not been playing good, but when he tees the ball up, you almost have to assume he's going to have a chance, right? Like at plus 1,300, I'm willing to take the chance on John Rahm, winning another major.
All right, I'm going to do it. I will say John Rahm is not going to win the Open Championship.
But those odds are juicy.
Yeah, I'm just
like he's usually plus 700.
We have to make a
they're double what they usually are.
We have to make a non-Cantley pick for who's not going to win it, and that's mine. I'm going out on a limb.
Yours is Rahm. I'm gonna say, man, I feel like this is not going out on a limb. Like I was gonna say Cam Smith.
No, I agree with that.
But like realistically, I right now I just don't trust Scotty to win again. Like it's gonna be top 5. But I would go. I'm gonna say that's a better one. I'm gonna say Scotty Scheffler is not gonna win.
Good God! I walked down on a limb, and then you went out and walked farther, and then it broke.
I wanted to say Rory, but man, he's got some momentum, and it's like he's been peaking at that next major. I mean, he did it at the U.S. Open. So
yeah, I know.
But however, I do like our boy Victor Hovland this week.
Okay. I mean, I can see it. I always, with the Open, you worry about short game and stuff. But,
yeah. And the good thing too is like you can kind of. It's not a course where you're like you're pigeonholed into like hitting a wedge for a chip shot, right? Like you can kind of be a little more creative because his wedges are not great around the green. They've gotten better, but they're not. I don't think you don't have to do that, right? Like you can do different shots. I think that's going to help him. But he would be like my pick. Like as far as one of the favorites, I mean he's plus 2,200, but I would still consider that one of the favorites.
Yeah.
But he's kind of my guy that I think it's time. I think he gets off. Got the win at the Memorial this year. I think he gets that first major win this week.
Okay. I mean, that would be big.
Who do you like? So let's do this because I think we've done this for every major. So pick a favorite that you like, and then we'll take a flyer. We'll take one flyer.
Yeah, I mean, favorite is.
I would say it goes down to 20.
Like the 30 and under crowd, kind of like anybody in the
30.
20s.
Yeah, plus 3,000 and under is to me would be.
I mean, I don't know if I'll bet this because it's so short, but like, I feel good about Scotty, obviously, of course. If odds are a factor, I kind of really like this under 30 group. Like, if it's not going to be Rory or Scotty, I'm kind of like out on all of them.
Really?
Yeah. I feel like I have question marks about. I mean, probably Brooks would be the one. But I mean, I know he's won multiple majors in a year before, but like I feel like that's statistically improbable for someone to win more than one major in a year.
Yeah,
obviously these guys can do that. Sure. Yeah. I feel like I would trust him the most just in terms of who's going to get it around. Yeah. And like not lose their shit when they hit it OB 15 yards off the fairway because I think this course there's a lot of like tight OB. Yeah.
So is that your official?
I mean, can I pick Scotty?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to take Scotty.
I said a favorite.
Regardless of odds, I would take Scotty. If I'm betting, I'm probably not betting. I don't think I'm going to bet anyone under the. You know what I want to do though?
But you need to pick a flyer. So I'm going to tell you who my flyer is.
Hold on one moment because I want to pause on it.
Okay.
I could see myself getting to Ricky.
I thought about it.
He had the major heartbreak earlier this year. He came back and won in Detroit. So we've gotten past the win hurdle. And last time at this course, he came second to Rory.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good links player, good, calm, cool, collected guy. Doesn't mind putting the weatherproof stuff on. I could see it. I mean, he's playing great. He's playing like a top 10 player in the world right now. Like straight up. Mm-hmm. I could see myself getting to Ricky. And then, of course, we're going to watch the Spieth number because it's the Open. If it's the Masters or it's the Open Championship, I am betting Jordan Spieth. you can. That is something I can guarantee you.
Yeah, I mean, I will do that. So my flyer, and I know we've highlighted how bad he's played this year, but
Hell yeah.
Justin Thomas,
Hell yeah.
Justin Thomas at plus 8,000. I mean, DraftKings is just like, I feel like I probably have different odds on him than most people. They probably have like some algorithm. They're like,
I got him at 82. So
we gotta
we're on the same algo.
We gotta juice this guy, juice him for this account. I mean, good God, you're talking about a two-time major winner that's plus 8,000. That's still in the prime of his golfing career. That's who I would take as my flyer, quote unquote.
I mean, I was gonna say the same thing just because I saw him sitting there. Feels like his game is like not as bad as it actually seems it's been. Like, he played well at the Travelers. I think he lost like an absurd amount of strokes around the green in Detroit, which is like, he's one of the best chippers in the world. So
yeah,
just a weird thing. Played okay at the Scottish. A lot of reports going around, and like, I mean, those guys have been popping around London and stuff for a while that, he's been shooting in like the mid to low 60s at some of these courses out there. So like, there's just something about in tournament, like you got to flip the switch, right? Like something's just a little, maybe he's getting his own way a little bit. Yeah. Maybe he's freed up at this point. I don't know. Getting out there and playing a different style of golf might help.
Yeah. Are you going with the same flyer? I know I was going to be a popular one.
I will bet Justin Thomas anytime he's above like 30-1.
Yep.
Until this is like, until he's officially broken.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't believe he's broken yet. But looking at some of the flyers, I mean, I like Adam Scott 75-1. I don't know that I trust him to make enough putts or whatever, but like, if this becomes like a fairways greens competition,
could be
Aussie, probably a good win player. Like, that's a good number on someone like that.
Yep.
Joaquin Neiman's over 100. I don't know what he's doing on Live, but good low ball hitter, win player.
Wouldn't be a bad choice.
Like that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
well,
I'll tell you what I'm most excited about: putting down my clubs and watching these guys play the Open this year. I do not want to. I'm skipping league this week. My clubs are on the shelf for a little bit here, at least until league next week. I need a break.
I'm a sicko. I think I'm going to try to sneak in 9 holes tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
But let's move on. Let's the most important part of the show.
Yes,
Patio Beers. And I think my question was inspired from one of our matches this week.
That's good because anything goes in the patio. So.
Yep. So actually, we'll start with yours because I think I went. Well, we let Gunther go first. Ladies first. We want him to go first last week. But you go. Go ahead.
Okay. Mine is a little bit inspired by this weekend too, because we talked a lot about some interpersonal relationships and stuff along the way and how we did and what we did and all that. So I want to know, what is your toxic golf trait?
I swear to God, my question is a little different. But
okay.
I think I can answer this.
Okay.
I think I can answer this differently than how I'd answer mine.
Okay.
It's so funny you went that direction, though.
Yeah.
I think it's disingenuous. Is that how you would say it?
Depending on what you say next.
Like comments.
Okay.
Like you're saying things that you don't really mean.
Yeah, that's correct. Good usage there.
It's just, it's. I hate fake people, right? Like that. Anybody knows me, knows you what you see is what you get. Like there's nothing secret about it, right? Like I don't talk to somebody one way and then go to another person and talk another way, right? Like what I say, what I do is what I say and do in front of everybody. Like doesn't matter if who you are. So when people make comments on a golf course, and they don't, for a fact that they don't mean it, that drives me insane.
Well, that's a pet peeve. What I'm saying is, what is your toxic golf trait?
Oh, mine? Okay. Mine?
Yeah. Self-reflection time.
Yeah. I would say sometimes Like, I probably just talk too much on the course. Like, specifically, like, in these matches, like, obviously they're serious. You know, there's a lot of money on the line. Like, I talk too much. Like, just like, and I'm like carrying on conversations as like someone's like trying to hit. Like, I do that, and I try to like catch myself, but I would say that would probably be mine. I don't know. Gosh, I'm terrible at self-reflection. So, like, what would yours be? Maybe I can think of something else.
Well, I'm curious if you have something for me too after
Well, okay. Well, let's do that. What do you think my toxic golf trait is?
That's a great question. Let me answer this first, and maybe something will come to mind, or we'll spur a conversation. For me, I think it's, and this is maybe something that's just happened within the last few years, but not taking my medicine. I'm not a good enough player to think that I can like hit a cut punch from 180 onto a green instead of just chipping it out and giving myself a chance with a low iron.
Okay, so you definitely went a different direction than I would have thought. But yeah, that's toxic. It has led to so many doubles and triples for me. Like like I said, I think this goes back to the league thing and playing in scrambles and stuff because you're like just pushing for birdies and pushing to score. That like I think I might have broken my brain a little bit on how to play like regular golf and like put a round together. Yeah.
Like firing at pins, doing just stupid stuff.
Yeah, and I would probably, like, if I was going to pick one for you, that would probably be it. Like, sometimes you just compound mistakes.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's one thing to make a mistake. It's another thing to make a mistake right after you just made a mistake.
Yes.
And you do a lot. You do...
Compounding errors, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, you do that a lot.
Yeah.
And honestly, when I was coaching, like, I'd tell them, like, I was like, today, like, you're going to focus on, like, no 3 putts and, like, don't double chip. Like, that was always my big thing. When you have a chip shot, give yourself a putt. Like, so that would fall into, like, compounding errors, right? Okay, you hit a bad shot. Well, don't make it another bad shot right after that. Like, get something moving forward onto the green, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's a pretty good one for you. That would be probably what I would have picked for you.
That's good. That's good confirmation.
I guess going in a different direction, I would say my toxic trait is I am very aggressive, and which is good. It can be, most of the time is good, right? A lot of time people play too conservatively, but there are definitely situations in which, like this weekend, where we get a little backfire, when on my aggressive play.
When I was talking, I was still kind of thinking about yours, and I was going to say, it's not that you're too. It's like a double-edged sword. It's like what makes you really good at times, but
it can also,
you don't always play to your strengths.
Yeah.
Which just among the people I play with, like, you're by far like the best iron player, especially like mid iron player that I know. I've played with you on rounds where you're just, the nuts from 150 to 180 or whatever.
Yep.
And so because you hit it so long with driver, you get a lot of these little tricky wedges, or maybe you're on the wrong side of the hole or things like that. Instead of if you laid back a little bit,
Yeah, that's a fair. That's kind of where it comes back to, like, the aggressive play. Like, I don't ever think of not hitting driver unless I'm trying to lay up short of something.
Right.
Like, if there's no hazard to lay up short of, like, I'm hitting driver.
So to that point, maybe your toxic trait is not practicing your wedges enough.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Oh, that was a good question. But I guess this is, mine's like the flip side of your question, right? Okay. So, like, what is a toxic trait for someone that you, like, would say play a match against, or you're playing in a tournament with, like, not your teammate, but, like, someone on another team? Like, what is one thing when you're playing with somebody, you're like, this drives me, like, I'm going to lose my shit on this guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just like presses your button.
Yeah. Two things that are related. One, like, if I'm playing bad, I don't need you just constantly talking. Like, I need a little space.
Yep.
And two, I don't need you telling me how bad I'm playing or how bad the break that I just got was.
Because there are people like that.
I'm very keenly aware.
Man, that's a tough break. Yeah, I know.
Yes. And also if the ball's in the air and it's like it's natural to be like, all right, get down or get there. Like you're rooting for the other person's ball.
The ball
That's
talkers.
fine. Okay, I don't mind if it's like an in-the-air shot and you're like, all right, get there, But when it's like, do not talk on my fucking putts.
Keep your lips off of Mitch's ball.
Not. Because I cannot tell you how many times this weekend I caught a fucking lip and it was like someone's on the verge of, I can hear them saying like,
it's in.
Yeah, or like good putt or, something, and it's like,
yeah,
that drives me nuts. Yeah. But now if the ball's in the air and someone's sending it across into Tractor Supply and you're saying like, get down when it's very clearly 100 yards out of play, also don't talk then. So in general, I think we can talk a little less.
Yeah. Yeah. Or they just have like someone that has pity on you for like playing bad. That's kind of.
It's also the way it's said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess so I kind of answered your question, what is mine. Like like I said, just like not genuine comments.
Exactly.
Like there's people out at our course that I don't dislike them. I just like I'm very indifferent about them, and I just we don't like mesh. Just personality, maybe some things in the past. Quote on the record, like I don't mind playing golf with you, but like I don't also want to like have conversations, like deep conversations.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I just realized what my real pet peeve is. It's a step higher than the talking thing. It's self-awareness.
And I think that kind of ties in with mine. Like, have some self-awareness. Like, I talk to everybody, but like when I'm struggling in a match or whatever, and maybe they're playing good, and you just like have some self-awareness of like, okay, he doesn't really want to talk right now. Like, or, we don't really mesh. Like, we'll be nice to each other, but like the fake, like, conversation, I know you don't want to talk to me because I don't want to talk to you, right? Like, or I don't want to have these conversations with you. Like, have some self-awareness of like, you can talk and be nice and stuff like that, but like to have full-fledged conversations, like you're not the guy I'm going to do it with, right? Yeah. Like, and having that awareness.
So I'll give you a perfect example of this because it's not just that part. It's also just like about yourself. So, because self-awearness. This happened in a match this weekend. Guy's like a 9.5 handicap. Not going to name names. You'll know who it is though. We're on hole 2 red. He's got like 180 something, whatever. He's hitting a hybrid. I don't know how far exactly he had.
Okay.
It's at the flag. That pin was middle front, though. His ball lands maybe 5 feet short of the back. Obviously hops off the back and into the bunker. Chips it on to like 20 feet. Makes the par putt. Nice sandy. All we heard about for the rest of the match was about how, that was the golf gods like getting me back because I hit a great shot there and I deserved that par. I'm like, bro.
No, you don't.
How do you not know, or like, how can you not comprehend that while it was at your target was a club long and deserved to be in the bunker?
Yeah. It's 50% of it is actually hitting at your target. The other 50% is it actually the right distance?
I would say distance control is 80%.
It probably is 80%. Yeah.
So when that happened, I was like it's the excuse making, right? The self-awareness, the excuse making.
Yeah. God, I'm trying to think of who it is now.
Yeah.
I'm drawing a blank. But no, it's like self-awareness. Like that, it all kinds of comes back to self-awareness, right? Like, and that's the other thing. I guess another one of mine would be like, look, especially like after the round. And I catch myself doing this sometimes. And I immediately stop if I catch myself doing it. But the go through every shot of your round guy.
That's tough.
It's like, especially after you play bad and like they play, you're like, I fucking saw it, dude. Yeah. Like I was playing in your group. I saw the shot you hit on 7. Yeah. Like I saw it. No need to retell. I saw it with my own eyes. That's another one that kind of,
yeah.
God, I got a lot of these. Last one, promise.
Okay.
I can't believe it didn't go in from anywhere on the putting surface. Like 60 feet away, it like burns the edge. Oh my God, I can't believe that didn't go in. Well, for one, you know the make percentage on a 60-foot putt? Probably way, way under 1%. It's probably like 0.0005%. And, you know, of like, it's like, not, you know, the guy that thinks everything's going to go in, or I can't believe it rolled 5 feet by, like that guy. But
this same guy was above the hole on 6 red, had like a 4-footer.
Death.
Claims he barely breathed on it.
And it probably.
And he had an 8-foot comebacker up the hill.
That is the best. Yeah, like I barely breathed on it. No, dude, you took it back like 3 inches on a 6-foot putt that was going downhill. Like you nuked it.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Yeah, but all right, okay. I could go on for days. I think I have a couple more, but I'm like,
yeah,
those are the main ones. I think so.
Those are good questions. We needed some golf therapy. We need to get some stuff out there.
Yeah, I mean, there was probably some frustrations. Like, just when you play in matches and you're, like, being competitive, I think some of that, like, you might see more than you normally would of that stuff that you're just like, God, it drives me fucking insane.
Yeah.
But that's why I thought it might be a good question. A little venting session.
For sure. All right. I think that does it on the Stampede week.
We ran a little long this week.
Yeah, well, we knew we were gonna. The last thing we'll say, hit us up if you want hats. We got the Imperial Performance hats in white and navy.
And they're sick.
Got the 9 logo on there for all those that requested it. Appreciate those that have already bought from us. They're $25.
Yeah.
Nice, fair price.
Yeah. Very affordable, and they're such good hats.
Yeah, I mean,
I wore mine all weekend. I wore a white one on Saturday and wore the blue one on Sunday.
I flip-flopped it.
If you didn't see the video, you can, if you want to know what the blue one looks like. Oh yeah, you had your
white one
on. Yeah, so they're both in that video. Yeah, hit us up. They're good.
Yeah, they're awesome, and it's like perfect summer hat too. I mean, I work out in Imperial hats. I run in them. Like they're the perfect material to just sweat through.
My wife Danielle had hers on at the lake down in Texas. She said they float, so there's a positive. Didn't even know that was. Didn't read that description when we were ordering them, but they do float.
We need to get enough interest in a ladies run here because my wife, unfortunately, these hats were too big for her head, so we might need some lady sizes here soon too if we get enough. Interest. So.
Heck yeah!
All right, I think that does it. Congrats on you guys making it to the shootout. Until next year. Cheers.
See ya. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Back 9 Six-Pack. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Back 9 Six-Pack for all your content needs. We'll see you guys next week. Cheers.